Well, today we're going to be changing out that long antenna on our F-150 for something just a little bit smaller. So let's put this through the test today and see how well it does and see if it has the same reception as the original antenna. Hit that subscribe button, stay tuned, let's dive in. All right, everybody, welcome back. So Paul here with another episode of Tech Motoring, and we are going to be looking at this short stubby antenna that I picked up. I bought this off of Amazon, and it's from a company called the MAXRACING. And so they sell these small antennas, and I'm going to be changing mine out today on our F-150 Lightning. This works for the F-150 as well. I'll have a link down in the description. You can click on it. That'll bring you right to the Amazon page and see if this is the one for your vehicle. If not, they make other ones as well. You can take a look at everything they offer. But this is a pretty cool antenna. I wanted to replace the long antenna on the F-150, make it look a little bit more modern, a little less annoying with that huge antenna on it. And I know we recently took this car on a road trip, and one of the things I said about the antenna was, you can't tell me that that's not hurting our efficiency right there. We really need to do something about that antenna. I jokingly mentioned that it was hurting our efficiency driving with that antenna because of 70 miles an hour. You just watch that thing sitting back, you know, flopping in the wind and everything. So I wanted to get something a little smaller and a little bit more compact, maybe looks a little better as well. And so what we're going to do is we're going to install that MAXRACING antenna today. We're going to show you how to do that, which should only take about 30 seconds, but we're also going to be testing it. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to pull up our FM radio, and we're going to pull up some stations that are maybe okay static wise, like maybe they're a little staticky or maybe they're really staticky. And what we're going to see is we're going to make notes of that, and we're going to jot them down, and we're going to come back to that after we install the new antenna to see if they gotten any better or any worse with that short antenna, because they do say that this should not make anything worse as far as that goes. So we'll see how it is. It says aircraft aluminum threaded mounting replacement antenna and non-lethal replica. Non-lethal replica. Maybe this is the same box they use for those little bullet antennas. I don't know. Anyway, this is what you get in the box. You get your short little 4-inch antenna here from MAXRACING. Looks really nice, very sleek. And then, of course, they give you some of those small threaded rods there. So you have to pick out the one that works best for your vehicle. We'll figure that out once we get the antenna off of the truck. In the meantime, let's go ahead. I'm going to pull up some radio stations here that might have some static to them, and I'm going to jot them down. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to get an idea of whether these stations improve at all from changing the antenna or get worse, or are they exactly the same? Let's give it a shot. So let's go through some stations here and see how it turns out. All right, so we're going to stay low on the spectrum for the beginning here. So we're at 88.1, and we're getting a little bit of a staticness to it. So 88.1 has a little bit of a static, no big deal. Let's go ahead and keep kind of jumping up here. 88.3 comes in okay. Let's take a look at something else. Let's go up the spectrum a little bit more here. All right, so we've gone through and I've identified 10 radio stations, anything from static, where you can kind of hear the radio station coming through, but it's just a lot more static, to a little static where you're getting this intermittent static. And then I picked out a couple stations that were pretty clear stations that came in relatively clearly. So I've got 10 stations now. So let's go ahead and swap out the antenna, and then we're going to come back in the truck while we have the new antenna installed, and then we'll see how that goes. All right, well, this should be pretty easy here. We should be able to just turn this by hand to loosen it. Yep, just like that. Simple enough. And there we go. All right, so the thread is in the antenna itself. So let's go back in the truck and see what we need to do. All right, so we have our antenna here and we have a new antenna here. So now we just got to identify which of these threads that we need. So obviously this one looks like it's not the right thread. As we can kind of see, it's a little bit smaller. So what we need to do is find the one that's the right size. So we have these two, which look like they're the proper threads, just different heights. There we go. I got you lined up there. So I'm thinking we might need to use the long one for this one. So let's try the long one, put that onto the antenna here, and then we'll see how that works. All right, so let's see how this works here. So we just take the threads here and we just thread it in. All right, so that goes in pretty good. And then what we see in comparison here is, yeah, pretty much a near perfect thing. It's a little bit longer than the original antenna, but we're gonna give this a shot and see if that's enough for it to go all the way into the antenna mount in the truck. If not, we do have those shorter threads, but let's give this a shot first. All right, easy peasy. We should be able to just thread this back in. Like so. All right, and that's it. Looks better already, actually. I love the way that looks. A lot cleaner than the original antenna. Obviously, it doesn't really bend either. Nice and stiff. So yeah, let's go see how it works in the truck. All right, now that we got the new antenna on the truck, let's go ahead and go back through those stations and take a look if there's any differences between the clarity and the staticness of some of those stations we were hearing before. Unfortunately, I can't really play most of those out loud because they have music on them and we don't need copyright. So let's go back through them again. I'll go through them and I'll let you know of the differences that I got before and after. All right, well, we have gone through and tested all 10 of those radio stations again after we've swapped out the antenna. So I will admit that I think that some of the stations where we had some static, where we were trying to barely make out what was going on in the station, I think they may have gotten slightly worse. So it does appear that maybe it doesn't have quite the same reception as the original 3-foot antenna here, which is not really a surprise by any means. I mean, really, that's the whole point of having a really tall antenna. So it gets up over the vehicle. It has a better view of everything around you. And so I'm not really surprised. However, all the stations that were really staticky before pretty much stayed really staticky. And anything that was really clear before pretty much is still really clear. I didn't really hear any negative side to the clear stations. They still seem to be pretty good even after switching the antenna. But I think overall, I think it might be slightly less strong of a signal than the original antenna like this. But it makes sense. It's really hard to make something like that better other than making it bigger or longer in this case. So it doesn't really surprise me that the MAXRACING antenna does have a slightly worse reception, but honestly, I don't think you would ever really notice it. I don't think you're going to have a station that you really loved, that really came in clear, all of a sudden sounding bad all of a sudden. I think that it's going to be basically the same experience regardless. And I don't know about you, but I don't really use my radio at all, AM or FM. Pretty much I rely on Sirius XM for my music needs when I'm in my F-150. So not something I'm really looking for as far as does it get good reception? I'm really looking for does it look better on my truck? But I think it looks better. I think it looks fantastic. And I'm very happy with the antenna on the truck versus the original antenna. And of course, now when we're driving down the highway, we also won't see that thing just like whipping in the wind as well. If you're interested in this product from MAXRACING, go ahead down in the description. I'll have a link right there for this product on Amazon. You can take a look at it for yourself. You can even find it for your particular vehicle if you just happen to be coming across this video for a different vehicle. But yeah, I think it's a pretty cool product. It seems to work enough for my liking, and I don't think anybody else would be upset by the ever so slightly less coverage that I experienced myself. And you might get a completely different experience on your particular vehicle as well, so keep that in mind. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Hope this video helped you out. If it did, give it that thumbs up just below the video, hit that like button, and of course, subscribe to the channel for more F-150 Lightning content. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you soon. And remember, welcome to the future. Welcome to Tech Motoring. See you soon.